Hey folks, how's it going? This is Iron Seagull here, back with another Sims Info and Thoughts video. So this one is going to recap the recent live stream of the My Wedding Stories game pack and my thoughts on it. But before I fully dive into that, there is another situation that I want to address. Because recently EA also made a statement that they're not going to release My Wedding Stories in Russia because they want to stay true to their pro-LGBTQIA+ values. However, what they're doing is hurting Russian players rather than helping them. And from what I've heard, it's actually not just Russia that's being affected by this, but other CIS countries such as Ukraine and Belarus and Kazakhstan, because they also fall under the Russian localization of The Sims 4. So even with their laws being different from Russia, they might not actually get to buy this pack either. There is a Twitter thread I will link in the video description below by Russian lawyer Simply How, who explains this situation far better than I ever could. And it does make a lot of sense after reading that, especially considering that The Sims 4 is in Russia already. It's just rated 18+ because of the LGBTQIA+ content. So they haven't even had to censor anything before, they've just had to raise the rating. So it actually makes no sense, EA's explanation. They would not have to compromise on Dominique and Camille's story. They could just release the game pack as is with the 18+ rating, just like they have for the Sims 4 base game and all of its DLC. It is important to really listen to the side of the players directly affected by this decision. Especially with Simply How's thread in mind, I hope EA addresses this again very soon, and not simply say, "we're sorry," but actually change their decision. EA's explanation for their decision was not good enough. They clearly did not do the right thing here, especially for the LGBTQIA+ community. My heart goes out to all players affected by this decision, and I make this video with the hope that this game pack will be made available to you, and that you can make an informed decision as to whether you want to buy this pack or not. I do want to make it clear that I'm not directing any of this criticism at the Sim Gurus though, because obviously they would have had no part in this. This, of course, would have come from people much higher up in EA. During this livestream, the first thing that they showed was the world icon for Tartosa, and I do think it looks really cute, especially with the little doves kissing. So yeah, that's pretty cute. I was surprised to see that Tartosa actually has a total of 9 lots, because usually unless the game pack revolves very much around the world itself, then game pack worlds tend to have only 5 lots at most. So it is nice to see more lots than usual for a game pack size. They also clarified that Tartosa is inspired by a mixture of Mediterranean countries rather than just one. They also mentioned that there is some lore to learn about this world, especially if you do build a relationship with the Sims who live here. So it is good that they did carry this forward from Henford on Bagley and Cottage Living, and I hope they continue to do stuff like this. Next, they show how to actually plan a wedding event. So it actually does have a separate slot on the calendar where it says add wedding event, and from there you can plan the events that you want to do next. So there's batch party, reception, rehearsal dinner, engagement dinner, family gathering, and wedding ceremony. There is also an event to renew your vows, but that was not listed here since the couple is not actually married yet. They gave some additional explanation for family gatherings, where it's more of an event you can customize to your family's liking for what makes sense for them, whether it's just hanging out on the beach or having something like a traditional Chinese tea ceremony. As expected, there are a variety of different roles that your Sims can take on during the wedding. I was interested to see that there are these different activities that you can set up, which kind of reminds me of setting up holiday traditions in Seasons, where you can choose from a whole list, like exchange vows, cutting the cake, walk down the aisle, spousal kiss, and more. Even though it does remind me of Seasons, I think this actually makes a lot of sense to reuse for once, because not all weddings are the same, and it is really good to have this level of customization. You're also able to change the dress code for the guest attire, and edit the individual outfits of the two Sims who are getting married, and also choose the wedding cake, which you can actually either make yourself or buy from a stall. Of course, you're also able to choose the location for your wedding, so you can have a wedding at your house if you want, or at the park, but there is also a new wedding venue lot type that will be available not just to players who buy the pack, but in a free update for everyone. Next, they showed off more of the new world of Tartosa, and oh my goodness, this world looks so gorgeous from what we've seen here. And it is interesting too, they even noted that when your Sims go swimming in the waters here, they actually do get a unique buff for it. And there is also, with the beach, a couple of new options, because you can now draw on the sand, and what they draw depends on their emotion. And you can do that on any beach, including Sulani from Island Living, not just the beach in Tartosa. And there's also a new message in a bottle collection. It's kind of funny. I made a tweet the other day joking about how, oh, what if there's a message in a bottle collection in response to someone else posting about the bottles that were just seen as clutter in the trailer, or at least so it seemed. But there's actually 20 different bottles you can collect. And apparently there are messages in there from Sims in Tartosa as well as other worlds, so it actually does sound like a particularly interesting collection to pursue. Also, they did show the City Hall, which, as I suspected, is a rabbit hole, so you can have your Sims get married there without the whole ceremony process, and there's also the option to use the bathroom if you really need to. There are also some Chinese and Indian food stalls that you can find near the beach, and while there are options available for just base game plus My Wedding Stories players, there are even more if you have certain packs. In addition to the stalls where you can buy bouquets and taste cakes, there is a wedding attire shop, and it is sort of like a rabbit hole slash dresser, because your Sims do go inside of it, and then you go into CAS. So that is good, because that's at least one thing that you can say is done indoors, because, well, what about when it gets really cold in this world, or if it rains? I'm not sure if there will be full-on blizzards in Tartosa, maybe not, but still, the weather, I don't think, should always be very sunny here. They did show off some of Create a Sim, not all of it, but so far, I guess I like what I see. It is nice to have a lot more formal wear, because I am getting a little bit tired of what we already have. Could definitely use some more stuff, so yeah, plenty on that front. The one thing I do like is that we have boutonnieres as separate accessories instead of them just being fused to the outfit. They also did say in the base game update before this pack comes out, we are going to have some new swatches for existing base game dresses, so that's a nice little bonus. One interesting thing with the bouquets is that you don't have to necessarily buy them from the stall, because if you have seasons, you can use the flower arranging skill to make your own, which I was really hoping would be the case, because, yeah, this pack did remind me of that skill and how very little that I use it. They also showed off one of the two new tea sets, because there is an English one with handles, and then there's a Chinese one without handles that is held differently than the English one. So I think it is cool that we are getting an actual tea set finally. I think Cottage Living should have come with that. But yeah, the animation's kind of nice. It's just, they almost got it. I just don't like how the teapot teleports to the Sim's hand and then teleports back to the tray once they're done with it. I know it's not the first object that is like that, but still kind of annoying. Like, it's just almost there. It's almost there with the realism, but not quite. Going back to the wedding cakes, they did show off the process of making one, and it is really interesting. There are different options available depending on your cooking skill, and there's a lot of customization options with them even after you're done baking it. And there's even a plasma flavored cake, which is awesome because for those of us who have vampires, would make a lot of sense. And that actually is kind of one thing I want to do with this pack. I want to have my vampire and spellcaster get married. So there we go. Yeah, there's the cake finished there, at least the base of it. But then you can also put the cake topper, and there's a bunch of different options for that too. After you've selected the cake topper, you can also inscribe it, and there you can say who is getting married and add a special message to go along with that. The actual wedding portion of the stream is sadly when things get messy, though I can't say I'm surprised. But you do have the pop-up saying, okay, the wedding's about to start, do you want to start it now or cancel it? And if you go through with it, there is a reminder in the top left showing you all the things that you set up for the wedding activities. But it overall looks a little robotic, like you have the flower pal going down the aisle here and then just kind of stops and stands in the middle of it after the sim is done. It's just, what? It's just, yeah, it's not as smooth looking as it could be, and it was the same sort of thing with the bride and the groom walking down the aisle. The one thing that is nice with the aisle itself is that there are 3 different lengths, short, medium, and long, and you do have a version where it actually is invisible in live mode, so you can make it kind of go better with different sorts of paths that you want to make. You'll see it in a few seconds here, but you do have the bride walking down the aisle, going off to the side, and then actually decides to just try and go off and do something else. It's just, yeah, you still have to really try and rein your Sims in, it looks like, when you are doing these weddings, even with this pack installed. So that definitely goes to show how flawed the AI in The Sims 4 is. So it's not really just an issue with this specific pack, but really the core of the game. One thing that does sound kind of nice is that there are different possible outcomes for when you have the 2 Sims kiss, so it is possible that there can be a bit of a fail animation. Actually though, that does remind me, they said there's no failures even if you don't really do many of the activities that you set up for the wedding, which I think is unfortunate, because it's just like, there really should be more chances to have things go badly, because not every wedding is picture perfect. Sometimes things go sideways, and I'm not entirely sure if Sims can just leave other Sims at the altar on their own, kind of like in the trailer. So it is kind of weird that you can fail holidays but not weddings, since they have a similar sort of system in place. It is good though that they do have the ceremony activities menu where you can tell your guests to do different things, like please take their seats so that Sims will actually sit down during the weddings, or as we're about to see in a second here, to have all the guests come and eat, though they still don't really sit down. They just kind of stand around and eat near the buffet table, which is kind of strange. Even 1 or 2 Sims kind of went onto the dance floor, so yeah, that's not really great either. I think one of my favorite things about this pack will be the slow dancing, because you can actually have Sims do different actions while they're slow dancing as well, and I think the animations overall look really good. The one thing I am worried about though is it only going to be doable on the dance floor object? Because I really hope you can still do slow dancing just by clicking on the stereo as well, because, I mean, weddings aren't the only place that you would want to slow dance at. Before ending the stream, they did show some of the new objects, and I guess they look pretty nice overall. Some of it does remind me of that concept art of the wedding stuff pack that was in the community stuff pack vote years ago, and I do like the new wedding arches and the pergolas as well. For the free update, they did mention that there are going to be new swatches for the base game wedding arch, so that's pretty nice. SimGuru Ninja did mention on Twitter that part of the base game update will be the ability to set fiancé and create a sim. Thank goodness, this should have been here when the game first came out. And it seems like, by the sounds of it, we still will be able to set boyfriend or girlfriend in create a sim, so I guess we gotta wait even longer for that. So that's pretty much it for the live stream. So I don't feel like the stream was really that entertaining to watch, and I feel mixed about this pack. I think it is going to be a step up from Dream Home Decorator, but that's a pretty low bar anyways. But I think the world is really nice, and some of the new Create a Sim and Build Buy stuff is good, and some of the things with the weddings are nice, and the slow dancing, but I don't know. I just don't feel like it's going to be that amazing of a pack. And there is still some stuff that we would have to play with for ourselves, like the batch parties, so hopefully those will be good still. But especially with seeing how sloppy the AI was during the wedding, it makes me really wish that The Sims 5 would have even better AI that doesn't feel so robotic. It also sounds like the base game update's not going to be all that great. Like, sure, there's going to be some extra swatches and create a sim and build mode for certain things, and the fiancé option is nice and having wedding venues available to everybody, but it sounds like there's no attraction system or anything of the sort, so that's a huge missed opportunity. And that wraps up another Sims Info and Thoughts video, so feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on my wedding story so far, and hopefully EA will address the situation again with not selling the pack in Russia and other CIS countries. And be sure to subscribe if you'd like to keep up with my latest gaming content, including life simulations and more. So I will talk to you all later, and have a great day. Thanks for watching!